In the micro, oh. Oh, wow, now it works, perfect. Okay. I have to keep this in mind. Good morning, everyone. I'll just wait maybe a few seconds for all of you to settle back in the room, and then we'll start. Okay, it's getting quiet then. Let's start. What if one morning you get to your office, you sit down in front of your desk and you open your laptop, you do a small scratch, you know, because why not? And just when you get ready to input your password to unlock your device, a blue screen appears saying that, or a blue screen appears, saying that, hey, your data is being kept captive, you have 72 hours to pay around £50,000 to get it back. The harsh reality is that this is way more common than we think. Unfortunately, this happened only a few years ago to an NGO based in the UK, working with children. Are you all familiar with what a ransomware is? Yeah? No? A ransomware is a malicious software that actually, when deployed on a machine, it practically locks away, it encrypts all data, and is going to ask you to pay a ransom, a specific amount of money, to get that data back. Data which rightfully belongs to you in any case. Usually when this happens, the threat actors, the cyber criminals behind it, they always leave a communication channel open between them and their target. In our case, with the NGO in the UK, the NGO reached out to the cyber criminals and said, hey, we are an NGO, we cannot pay £50,000 just like that, you know? And the cyber criminals were like, oh, you're an NGO. Pah, we didn't know. We'll give you a 50% discount, but you'll still pay for it. Unfortunately, that's the world in which we live in. Nowadays, non-profits get discounts even for cyber attacks. Today, I mean, we were placed in this, let's say, short talks session between nonviolence and deterrence. And when I was thinking about it and putting together my speech, the first thing that came to mind was resilience. That's what I think is between nonviolence and deterrence. And this is what we're trying to achieve with the CyberPeace Builders program from the CyberPeace Institute. Now, the CyberPeace Institute is a small NGO based in Geneva, Switzerland, created in 2019. We are a bit more than 30 people, a bit spread all over the world. And our main objective is really to protect vulnerable individuals in this vast, huge digital space. But how do we do that? We're not the ICRC to go on the ground and help vulnerable people ourselves. We said the best way to do that, to achieve that, is by working with the non-profit organizations that deliver critical and life-saving services to these vulnerable individuals. And that's how, in October 2021, we launched the CyberPeace Builders program. The CyberPeace Builders program is a network of cybersecurity experts who volunteer their time and expertise for free to assist non-profit organizations to enhance their digital resilience. It's actually very simple. When a non-profit joins the program, they are going to be asked to do a very short assessment, around 30 questions based on international cybersecurity standards, massively simplified because we all know we don't like long assessments. And what this does, it practically already helps them take a step back to think about, oh, my cybersecurity, I never thought about this. It's, you know, this extra admin thing I have to do. Do I really have to do it? Unfortunately, yes, and more and more. And then what this assessment does, it practically helps these nonprofits map their needs, identify, okay, should they spend more time on training? Should they look at maybe implementing better security controls? Should they work more on the governance of their digital ecosystem? And so on. You might ask yourself, but okay, why cybersecurity for nonprofits? Nonprofits are being targeted mainly for what they do, what they have, and what they know. And in the past 4 years, according to our research, we have managed to track a bit more than 600,000 cyber attacks targeting nonprofit organizations. This is a mix of open source data with our own data from the 630 nonprofits that we work with. Imagine that only in 1 year and a half, since we started to have this capacity ourselves, we blocked a bit more than 1 million phishing emails for around 40 organizations who decided to benefit from that tool. 1 million phishing emails for 40 organizations, not yet all of them. Imagine if we had all of them, that would have been maybe tens of thousands of millions. In a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that cybersecurity concerns us all, both at an individual level, because we are all day long on these devices, but also at the professional level. And especially with the COVID pandemic, all sectors have went through a massive digitalization process, and in particular the nonprofit sector. We are being asked to do more with less as well. We have new threats such as AI security, we have disinformation coming up and more targeting nonprofits. So how are we going to face all this? Now, when we created the CyberPeace Builders program, the idea was to provide a scalable and accessible program for nonprofits to be able to work on their cybersecurity, knowingly that they do not have the resources, the money, the knowledge, the capacity to invest in this. And our main purpose was, okay, let's make it as accessible and simple as possible so that they, by going step by step through each mission and each engagement, they can then strengthen that cybersecurity. We are currently working with a bit more than 630 nonprofits, thanks to the help of 1,600 volunteers. The volunteers, they are coming from private companies, and practically we are asking these private companies to use their corporate social responsibility to finance and support the program, but to also give us human resources. Because this is a massive gap also for nonprofits in terms of IT staff and human resources overall. Now, I know cybersecurity might be a bit daunting and scary. When working with different nonprofits, they were always saying, this is not a topic that we prioritize. To me, it's like one of those mythological creatures. It has 7 heads, you cut one, but then it's another one showing up. It is. Cybersecurity, it's a field that it's in constant flux and evolution. But what we hope to achieve through the CyberPeace Builders program, it's exactly this community collective action that is ethical, that is well structured, that is well centered on supporting NGOs, on protecting those who actually protect others. So on my side, if you are a nonprofit and you think you could benefit from some cybersecurity support, let's connect to see if this can work for you, if it's the right thing for you. Maybe yes, maybe not. If you are a foundation and you want to discuss how we can maybe further protect your grantees, why not? That's also something that we do. Or if you're a cybersecurity expert or a tech company who wants to have a good, do something for good, for social impact, please do get in touch with us. And I thank you very much for your attention. I hope this was interesting and clear. Thank you.
Hello everyone, buon dia a todas. So I'm Antonella di Matteo and I'm project officer at Centre Delàs, the Studies por la Pau. That is an independent research center based here in Barcelona. And I'm here to explain you one of the main global campaigns that we're coordinating at Centre Delàs. And I'm really happy to be here with you today. And I think also thinking about the name of this event, that is Peace Build. Okay, thank you. That is Build Peace. I think it's the global campaign that I'm gonna present you. It could be one important tool for all of us to mobilize people and to try to reach that positive and just peace that most of the people I think here wants, and also try to cut off the arms trade system. So yeah, let's start. Okay, so as Centre Delàs, it's been some years since we started to coordinate this global campaign. It's a global campaign that on military spending, GCOMS, that was created and promoted by the International Peace Bureau in 2014. But as you can see, it started also a bit earlier, we could say, because in 2011, the International Peace Bureau already launched the Global Days of Action on Military Spending. So why are we doing this? The main aim of the campaign is basically to raise awareness on the excessive amount of public money spent year after years in the military system. And we know that right now, with everything that is happening in Ukraine and in Russia, the genocide in Palestine, and also all the violation of human rights in Congo and Sudan, we know that the main countries and powers in the world are like promoting like a possible world war, and there are like seeing threats where maybe they are not right now. So some years ago, like 10, 15 years ago, the powers already started to really strengthen the importance of producing more weapons and to be ready for a possible war that was coming. And this year we can say that this is like getting more and more stronger. There is an exponential growth in this. We can see it, now we are in Europe, so we can see that the European Union decided to allocate 800 billion euros in the production of arms, and this is like insane, because we know that if we put a lot of money in the production of the weapons, we are not actually investing this money in healthcare or education or whatever that comes to our minds, that right now it will be more important that actually prepare us for a possible war. So what we are doing with this campaign, we have a coordination committee that tries to meet once per month, and we usually try to meet in December to start planning the campaign for the next year. So, for example, this December we are gonna meet online, because we are partners inside this committee that are all over the world, in all the continents. We have organization in Asia Pacific, in Latin America, in Europe, in the US, and in Africa. So what we do is to meet and to decide when to have these global days of action on military spending. And the campaign is growing. We have more than 150 organizations involved that during this campaign are actually acting, posting, and organizing activities and workshops to actually promote what we are doing. And of course, everything that we are doing is connected to the military economic cycle that I don't think I have time to explain, but probably most of you already knows that when there is an external threat or when we feel in danger, of course, we start activating this circle. So we want to spend more in the military, then we have like more money that goes to the military research, development, and innovation. So, of course, we want to have better weapons to be more ready for the war. And then, of course, this goes to the military industry, the arms trade, because I always have a surplus in the production of weapons. If I want to produce more and more, if I see that I have a need to produce more and more. And, of course, that means that I have weapons enough to import them. And then, of course, once I have the weapon, somehow I'm going to use it, no? Because, I mean, we have it there. And this is, of course, this can happen for trainings, for the military, or it can happen, okay, my weapons from Spain goes to Israel because they need it to actually continuing oppressing the Palestinian people. So my weapons are getting used in another place. And the need of weapons, of course, if I see that I can actually export my weapons, I see that there is a need. I see that my weapons are being used, so I produce more and more. So this is like to explain also a bit what we try to go against when we actually do this campaign. And this is the campaign that we did in 2025. This was our image. War costs us the earth is one of our slogans, let's say, because as I said before, we see that we are living a climate crisis that is really, enormous. And if we spend more and more money in producing weapons, of course, we don't have resources to actually face other issues in the world. So this is like something that we try to underline every year in our campaign. What do we do so for beginning our campaign every year. We meet, as I said, in December is the first meeting. Then we try to write all together, and this is also like a good point, I think, of this campaign, because we work all together. We want to reach like an agreement among all the partners. So we write an appeal that is getting translated in several languages, and as I said, all the continents are involved. So we have the chance to actually translate the appeal in more than 15 languages. And what we do is to share the appeal, where we explain a bit the current situation, why we are actually doing the campaign, what we would like to achieve, what we would like to also ask to the institutions, because also one of the main aim of the campaign is that each organization can also have an impact on their local level. So for example, in our case, we try to have an impact on the Spanish level, trying to talk to the government, try to go to the parliament, and also try to actually have an impact on that, because we hope that somehow they could decrease the number of money that goes to the arms trade industry. And this is more or less, it's not like including every, like all the countries involved, but this is also where we actually act. And you cannot see the Philippines, but it's one of the main countries actually involved, because we have an important partner there that is doing a lot of action during the entire year. And what we do then, once we have the appeal, we decide the main dates of the year where we would like, when we would like to make actions. And as I said before, there are the GDAMs, the Global Days of action. So we usually do it between April and May, because we always wait for the data from CIPRI, that is the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, that every year publish the global data on military spending. So what we do is to prepare infographics like this with all the new data that we get from them, and around the date of publication of this data, we build the GDAMs. So, for example, in 2025, we had this Global Days of Action from the 10th of April until the 9th of May, and some of the main data were, for example, the tax day in the US, that is the 15th of April, because some part of the tax money of the people can go in the military spending. So we try to raise awareness on this topic, especially for the people that are from the US. Then we have the 22nd of April, that is the Earth Day. So as I showed you before, like one of the main slogans is that if we don't change something, we will not have a planet maybe to live in. So we think it's really important to make pressure during that day. And another also important day is the 9th of May, that is the Europe's Day of Peace. And of course, we cannot say that right now we are living in a peaceful moment, since we have all these monies that are going to war or to build war. So what we do is this: prepare the appeal, prepare materials, have meetings to coordinate, and then this is what happens. People that in their countries, in their cities, organize mobilizations, manifestations, and we usually try to collect all the pictures, videos, information of the actions happening all around the world, because I think it's also important to see that what we are doing is having somehow an impact. And these are also some materials that we prepared in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. And with our slogan, every year we try to also change the picture to be like also more creative. And we always try to do a social media storm to involve and mobilize more people. If you are interested, you can find here all the information to contact me, to contact the Centre Delàs, and we hope to have you on board for the next GCOMS. Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much to the two presenters so far. A slight little break in our short talk schedule, and also a language expectation that the next talk that you'll hear will be in Catalan. So if you need a translation device or you need to pull it out of your pockets, just expect that. Also, there was another short talk in the program you'll see from Boukar Laouali, and he was not able to make it, not of his own accord, obviously, but because of visa access inequality. But I just wanted to give you 2 sentences on what he would have talked about, and also an offer that if this sounds really cool and you want to connect with Boukar, you can get in touch with any of the organizers, and also Claudia over here as a graphic recorder, and we can put you in touch with him. Boukar is working on a project. The title of his short talk was How a Team of Young People is Using AI for Peace in the Sahel. He and a group of other engaged citizens in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso created kind of AI personas of regional historical figures that they're then chatting with about current challenges and opportunities, and using that as kind of an input and a baseline for then dialogue processes that they're holding within their countries. So it's pretty cool. And if you want to be in touch with Boukar, let us know and we'll get you in touch with him. And next we have our next short talk here, Strengthen the Activation of Cities to Create New Narratives About Diversity. If you can come up now. Yeah. Maria and Víctor. Yes, thank you so much.
Hola, bon dia a tothom. Avui venim a presentar-vos un projecte que es diu STAN. Per les seves sigles en anglès significa reforçar l'activació de les ciutats per generar noves narratives sobre la diversitat. I aquest és un projecte que l'estem desenvolupant des de la xarxa de valors, que és un servei de l'Ajuntament de Santa Coloma, que treballa per promoure la convivència en la diversitat, la cohesió social i la interculturalitat. Aquí estem. Aquests són uns valors fonamentals de la ciutat de Santa Coloma per tal de superar els prejudicis, estereotips i rumors. Una de les tasques principals que fem des d'aquest servei és apoderar la ciutadania per tal que aquests siguin agents actius per promoure i construir nous relats positius, inclusius i alternatius als discursos d'odi. Amb aquest projecte el que estem treballant és amb els joves i els objectius, en el marc d'aquest projecte, la xarxa de valors acull el projecte europeu STAN per tal de permetre treballar aquests objectius. Crear nous relats sobre la convivència en la diversitat, buscar combatre l'odi, el racisme, el masclisme i altres discriminacions, i amb aquest projecte treballem conjuntament amb altres ciutats europees de països com Itàlia, Portugal i Polònia. A Santa Coloma hem apostat perquè siguin els joves d'entre 15 i 25 anys qui siguin els protagonistes que liderin aquesta construcció d'aquest nou relat positiu que afavoreixi la convivència en la diversitat. Llavors, els objectius del projecte és fer visible la diversitat i la convivència, donar veu i eines als joves per tal que combatin aquestes noves narratives i creïn nous marcs positius que afavoreixin aquesta interculturalitat a la ciutat i connectar ciutats europees i compartir idees. El projecte es desenvolupa en 4 fases. Aquí en la diapositiva n'hi ha 3, però en són 4. La primera és el diagnòstic, que es van fer 2 focus groups, un amb tècnics i professionals que treballen directament amb joves i un altre focus group que es va fer amb els propis joves. Aquest diagnòstic ens va permetre veure quins són els discursos presents i cap a quins col·lectius ataquen a la ciutat. La segona fase, que ja s'ha dut a terme també, ha sigut la formació i la creació d'un grup motor de joves que ha rebut aquesta formació i que després, un cop consolidat el grup, es farà un treball intensiu amb aquests joves i es crearan aquestes noves narratives i després es farà difusió d'aquestes. I ara us deixo amb un dels joves que ha participat tant de la fase del diagnòstic com de la formació i que us expliqui de primera mà quina ha sigut la seva experiència.
Doncs moltes gràcies, Maria. Jo sóc el Víctor i he participat del projecte Stand, com deia la Maria, no? I bueno, vinc a explicar una miqueta el que és l'experiència i per què crec que és important aquest projecte, no? Moltes vegades els joves escoltem missatges que pensem que són casuals, no? Però jo crec que cap missatge és casual, tots els missatges tenen darrere una narrativa. Una narrativa masclista, una narrativa racista, una narrativa que té un objectiu, una finalitat. A Santa Coloma, una ciutat amb 120.000 habitants, no sé si ho sabeu, 126 nacionalitats, un 30% de la població és estrangera, una ciutat amb molta diversitat cultural, aquestes narratives el que fan és fracturar la convivència. I és molt important que la gent jove, com jo, per exemple, que rebem moltíssima informació que té al darrere una narrativa com les que acabo d'esmentar, entenguem que aquests missatges no són casuals i van a fracturar la convivència. El projecte Stand ens fa entendre això, que tots els missatges tenen una narrativa al darrere, com es construeix una narrativa i entenent que en temps com els actuals, on hi ha un auge dels populismes extremistes, hi ha un auge de la polarització que està afectant els col·lectius joves, especialment els homes joves, és importantíssim, jo crec, des de l'àmbit local, entendre com funcionen les narratives i poder construir narratives alternatives. Aquest projecte per mi és fonamental. Ha de tenir un impacte des del més proper. Ahir es va fer un acte que era Llavors de Pau, municipis Llavors de Pau. És que realment jo crec que és així. És a dir, els municipis funcionen des de... És l'ens més proper a la realitat social i, per tant, ha de tractar amb aquest tipus de projectes per apropar-se realment al que és la ciutadania. I en aquest cas, amb els joves, apostant clarament pels joves, crec que és una clau importantíssima. Vam fer un focus group, vam parlar, vam fer una anàlisi entenent quines eren les discriminacions o què pensàvem, fent una anàlisi del que és la situació a la ciutat, per després fer una formació que ens ha servit, com deia, per entendre com funcionen les narratives, cap missatge és casual, tot té una narrativa al darrere, com construïm una nova narrativa sobre la diversitat en positiu, entenent que la nostra ciutat és molt diversa i som molta gent, perquè som 120.000 habitants en 7 quilòmetres quadrats, que és moltíssim. Llavors hem d'entendre com amb aquesta realitat social articulem una nova narrativa vers la diversitat. I això és el que hem estat fent amb la formació. Per ara passar a un proper episodi que serà elaborar aquestes narratives i veure com podem impactar realment a la ciutadania, especialment als joves. Jo crec que és importantíssim, que evidentment són les generacions que venen, però són les generacions que ja hi són, perquè també és una miqueta, es repeteix molt, però els joves són el futur però també són el present. I venim des d'aquest projecte una miqueta jo crec que a buscar el canvi, a buscar no només narratives alternatives a les que ja hi ha, sinó noves narratives, perquè no hem de fer un exercici únicament de resposta, sinó només anem a la reacció, hem d'anar a crear una narrativa pròpia positiva envers la diversitat. I això és el que busca el projecte. Moltes gràcies.
Hello, everybody. I hope that you're fine. I'm very happy to be here today with you. My name is Christina. I am co-founder of Fighters for Peace, an NGO based in Lebanon. And so I will share with you today a tiny aspect of our work, of our local experience in Lebanon. But before that, I like to go with you on a tiny imaginary trip. So imagine that your country experienced 15 years of civil war. And imagine that at some point, of course, and luckily, this war came to an end, but you don't really know how and why. And you don't even really know why it started, because the reasons were so complex. And imagine that after 15 years of war, those who were wearing military outfits, those who were warlords, changed their uniforms for suits and became members of parliament and political leaders. And imagine that 35 years after the end of this war, some of those former warlords, having become political leaders, are still sitting in key political positions until today. So this is, in a nutshell, the situation that we have in Lebanon. And before I talk about our organization, for those who don't know exactly where Lebanon is located, because it's a tiny country at the Mediterranean Sea, we are neighbored by Syria on one side, we're neighbored by Israel-Palestine on the other side, and we have the beautiful Mediterranean coast, and we also have Cyprus as an island. So if you see all these countries on a map, other than the sunshine and the olives, what do you think? What is common in these countries? I think not so difficult to tell. Conflicts and war, unfortunately, and also divisions, and Lebanon is not an exception. So Lebanon went through 15 years of civil war from 1975 until 1990. It's a tiny country. Back then there were around 3 million inhabitants. It had around 150,000 victims, people killed, and around 100,000 persons were involved at some point in the fighting. And these are really high numbers for such a small country. And there's still also, until today, over 17,000 people who are still missing, who were abducted at checkpoints, for example, kidnapped, disappeared, and their whereabouts are still unknown until today. So 35 years after the end of the war, this is still an open wound that hasn't healed. And as I said in my little introduction, when the war ended, there was a general amnesty. So those who had participated in the civil war, those who had been leaders of militias, they went back home unpunished. There was no prosecution, there was no process of transitional justice, there was no process of accountability. And this might have been good for those people who were involved in the war as fighters, as commanders, but somehow it also was not good for them because they were not forced to reflect on what they had done. They were not forced to reflect on why they had engaged in this war in the first place. But in any case, they could go back home and rebuild their lives. And of course, it was very, very bad for the victims of the war, for those who had lost family members or whose homes were destroyed. And it was also very bad for the country in general, because it generated a culture of impunity. And if you look at Lebanon today, there is a lot of corruption, for example, as a sign of impunity. So in this situation, what do we do? Fighters for Peace, as the name says, and it's a bit of a contradiction, is an association of former combatants who had been involved in the Lebanese civil war. And the persons that you see here on this picture have among them the founding members. We're now around 100 members, but not all of them. The majority, we are ex-fighters, but we also have persons like myself. I'm a peace activist and journalist. We have academics, we have researchers, we have artists, and also many young people joining our organization. And the people that you see here in the picture, some of them had been former enemies, so they had to go through their own reconciliation process in the first place before reaching out to the public. And today I wanted to talk or stress a little bit on this issue of accountability. I think here people from Spain also know the pain of not having had accountability after a long civil war. So as Fighters for Peace, one of our first actions when we were founded and established in 2014 was to reach out to war victims organizations, and we organized a press conference saying that we are against this general amnesty and we want to be held accountable, and we want to take responsibility for the things that had been committed during the Lebanese civil war. We supported the victims' organizations also in their legal campaigns. We collected signatures for them. And most importantly, some of our ex-combatants passed on critical information, especially to the organizations that deal with the people who are missing. So some of our ex-combatants went to the International Red Cross and gave them information about the locations of former detention centers, the potential locations of mass graves, and things like that. So they did as much as they felt they could do to pass on this information so that hopefully at some point the whereabouts of the missing people will be revealed. But then still, of course, is this enough in terms of accountability? We were asking ourselves. So the ex-combatants, although they are ready to be held accountable, how to do this? I mean, they can't prosecute themselves, obviously. And then we were thinking, well, let's do something like a mock tribunal just to raise the public awareness of the importance of this issue. But then a mock tribunal seemed a little bit too harsh because at the end there were 100,000 people involved in the war as fighters, and we're less than 100 members, ex-combatants. That's a tiny minority. And so we would be in the public eye alone, and we would be the ones, or our ex-combatants and our organization would be the ones to be blamed. So we decided to team up with a theater troupe, and they created this theater play called Save Not Sound, based on interviews with former combatants. It was a very hard process because inside the theater troupe you had the children of war victims, and so the discussions were very, very tough, but we pulled ourselves together and created this theater play. And to give you a little impression, I'm going to play a tiny extract of a film that we made about the play.
لا دخيلي ما بدك ترجع على الحرب، ما بدك ترجع على الحرب.
اصلا ما خلص حرب اصلا هلا مش شايفينها بس هذا اول قواعد الاشتباك عارف عدوك انا عم بفهم كل ما بدك.
There is something wrong. Sorry, I will try to start again. It always happens, right? Okay, 1, 2. Hopefully. Yes.
لا دخيلي ما بدك ترجع على الحرب.
الحرب اصلا ما خلص.
لا دخيلي
هلا مش شايفينها
ما بدك ترجع على الحرب.
هذا اول قواعد اصلا ما خلص. هلا مش شايفينها بس بكون شايف منيح. هذا اول قواعد
عم بفهم كل ما بدي افهم ترجع تحكي حدا بتضيعني.
بكون شايف
كيف يعني بدنا نرجع نعمل حرب كل ما بدي افهم ترجع تحكي حدا بتضيعني.
مبدأ المحاسبة هو مبدأ كتير مهم ولا مرة نحكى عنه. المحاسبة هو مبدأ كتير مهم ولا مرة نحكى عنه.
انتهت الحرب وصار في سلام، بس سلام كتير سلبي. انتهت الحرب بدون محاسبة وصار في سلام، بس سلام كتير سلبي. سلام ما كان في عدالة انتقالية، كان في عفو عام الحرب مرة ثانية. ما كان في عدالة انتقالية، كان في عفو عام.
كنت مقاتل سابق خلال فترة الحرب الأهلية اللبنانية. كنت انتهت سنة 1990 سابق خلال فترة الحرب الرسمي لنهاية الحرب الأهلية. لما انتهت سنة 1990 هذا الشيء اللي بعد الرسمي لنهاية الحرب الأهلية، لأنه واضح جدا إنه بعد الشيء اللي ما زالت مستمرة إنه انتهت الحرب، لأنه واضح جدا إنه بعد الزيولة ما زالت مستمرة.
أنا بس قررت حقيقة أظهر للعلن، بحكي على المستوى الشخصي. بس كنت عارف حقيقة أظهر للعلن، بحكي على المستوى الشخصي. كنت عارف إنه بحكون في سما.
أنا أصلا فكرتك متة.
نحن في جيل واعي إنه في حرب أهلية صارت، نحن ما عندنا ذاكرة مباشرة، نحن أنا حتى بعد هذا البروجيت حكينا عن سايت شخصي، أنا كثير عندي انترست أسأل أهلي، يعني أنا حتى بعد هذا البروجيت حكينا عن سايت شخصي، أنا كثير عندي انترست أسأل أهلي. كل الناس كانت جيت هذه الحرب وكانت الفرصة الوحيدة كيف في أن أثبت لحالي.
ما لازم كل تمرق الجرائم واللي حدث بالحرب بدون محاسبة، ما لازم كل تمرق الجرائم واللي حدث بالحرب بدون محاسبة. المحاسبة الناس الكبار هون واكثر من هيك انه يصيروا زعماء خارج المحاسبه لازم يتحاسبوا، واكثر من هيك انه يصيروا زعماء انه لا لازم يتحاسبوا.
مش بالاول تفضل عندنا نشوف، مش بالاول تفضل عندنا نشوف.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There was something a little bit wrong with the sound and the pictures. It didn't really match, although we tried it in the break. But in any case, you can look at the longer version of the theater play also online on our website, which is here. So sorry for that technical mistake, but I think you could see the subtitles and grasp the idea of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, and good morning, everybody. This was the last talk of the morning, but we want to use this space before the workshop session to talk about the art exhibitions that we have around the building. So I'm going to ask all the artists with exhibitions around if they can come here, and they will have a few minutes to say something about the proposal that they have brought to the La FIBA. So if you can come here around, if you're in the room, I'm going to ask first if we have here the people responsible of the Imagine Peace exhibition. You, Tiffany? And Ingrid is around too. Okay, so you have 3 minutes to talk about your exhibition, okay? I have a couple of slides. Yes, they are ready.
I use this? So my research in the exhibition out in, it's in the dining room area, on the screen and a bit on the walls, is really, its background is in an academic research project. I'm not actually an artist, I'm a researcher. And it's really concerned with this question of the invisibility of peace and the visibility of peace. If we do a quick Google image search, the problem is starkly revealed. We have hundreds and thousands of very specific images of war. But when we do a search for images of peace, we come up with all sorts of symbols, cliches, and relatively a lot of images that don't actually have any people in it. So this question of how peace is visualized is really reflective of a wider challenge we have around how we define and give meaning to peace and also communicate it with others. It also speaks to questions around peace literacy. And so often when we see peace visualized, it's visualized through war itself rather than in and of its own right. So images work as very potent political forces, and they can work to drive conflict and polarization as much as they can do to foster peace. But my research, I'm based at the Department of War Studies at King's College in London, and I've been undertaking a 5-year research project called Imaging Peace. And it's really concerned with this question of what a photography of peace might consist of. We know a lot about war photography, but there isn't really a genre of peace photography, and why isn't there one? Of course, as is often the case, the real world and the practice world, in the real world, things are happening way ahead of the theoretical or conceptual world. So of course, peace photography is thriving around the world, even if we don't necessarily have, if we're not necessarily conscious of a genre of peace photography. I used my research project as a chance to do a multi-country study or finding examples of peace photography from around the world. I worked with local peace actors, photographers, cultural organizations, and built collaborative research around what a photography of peace might consist of. And in the exhibition, in total, on our website, we've got about 26 case studies. There's quite a number of academic articles. There's an academic book coming out next year. But probably what is most relevant and useful to everyone here is we've published this peace photography guide. It's free and downloadable from our website. It's available in French, English, and Spanish. The exhibition is made up of 8 of the contributing projects who have fed into the research. We have looked at projects from very diverse peace and conflict settings from all over the world, using a whole range of what we're calling visual peace methods. Because, of course, the way that images and photography can support peace isn't really just about the representation of peace or using images to depict peace, but it's thinking about how visual processes, the production of images, the sharing of images can also foster wider dialogue, depolarization processes, healing, reconciliation. So just to speak to the whole conference theme, the idea of a pluriverse of peace, photography as a medium allows us to see very plural visions of what peace is, and the imaging piece research, and you just get a flavor of it in the digital exhibition out in the dining room area. But on the website you get a lot more, and in the guide, I think there are 122 pages with loads of stunning images from all over the world in terms of their images made not by professionals but by communities and localized projects, giving us very plural visions of what peace is or might be. And so I do encourage you to download the guide. It's got exercises and activities in the back of it. So it's very much a practical resource for people who are interested in thinking about how they can use visual peace methods in their own work. There's a website too with all the case studies on. So very nice to meet you all, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Tiffany. Yeah, it's okay. We're fine. Thank you, Tiffany. You can see the exhibition around. They had a workshop yesterday too, and now I'm going to call to the stage to Carlos Ordaz, who brought to the La Ciba an exhibition about Casal de la Pau here in Barcelona.
Thank you. Good morning. I will make my presentation in Spanish, sorry, but if someone wants more information, or we can do it in petit comité in English, it's not a problem. El Casal de la Pau de Barcelona es un espacio físico que existió, que tiene precedentes, pero que existió, se materializó a mediados de la década de los 70 y duró hasta mediados de la década de los 90. Podéis ver algunas imágenes, algunas fotografías, algunos carteles. Está justo donde están el café, a la derecha, y algunos carteles, y después si subís a la primera planta, tanto a la derecha como a la izquierda, tenéis carteles, imágenes de las campañas y de algunas fotografías de la época. El Casal de la Pau de Barcelona es un espacio muy importante para todo lo que es la historia de la genealogía del movimiento por la paz, la no violencia, el antimilitarismo y más cosas en Cataluña, pero no solamente en Cataluña, también en España e incluso en conexión con otros puntos. En el Casal de la Pau de Barcelona se comienza a articular un movimiento vinculado con la no violencia y con el pacifismo, que tiene un profundo sentido antifranquista en la época, a veces más consciente, otras veces no tanto, y que después deriva en muchos afluentes diferentes, ¿no? Pensad que algunos de los grupos que pasan por el Casal de la Pau de Barcelona son, por ejemplo, el Comité Antinuclear de Cataluña, que es uno de los grupos que articulará el movimiento ecologista y el movimiento antinuclear en el resto del Estado español, y será uno de los puntos de referencia de las ideas y de los debates intelectuales sobre la ecología y el movimiento antinuclear en España. Era un espacio de encuentro, era un espacio, y esto es importante tenerlo presente, la importancia de los espacios en esta era digital y en esta era en la cual es tan sumamente difícil conseguir espacios propios, ¿no? Y más en un sitio como estaba, que era el centro de Barcelona. Ahora es impensable poder disponer de un espacio que no sea a través de las instituciones, ¿no? Pensad que el movimiento estudiantil tiene las aulas, el movimiento obrero tiene las fábricas, incluso el movimiento vecinal tiene el barrio. Los movimientos sociales necesitan el espacio de encuentro, el espacio de conectar, el espacio donde ir, el espacio de referencia. Eso era el Casal de la Pau. Y aquí aparecieron muchos grupos y se diversificaron. Y pasó por muchas etapas, porque en lo que se convierte el Casal de la Pau en la década de los 80 es diferente en cierta forma a lo que es en la década de los 70. Fue uno de los puntos neurálgicos de toda la campaña contra la OTAN y generó unas sinergias que además hacen entender todo el pozo que quedó en el pacifismo y la no violencia, e incluso en la transmisión de conocimientos. Es decir, la forma de la desobediencia civil en Cataluña en gran parte se explica por el peso del Casal de la Pau, no solamente por el Casal de la Pau de Barcelona, pero es fundamental en la genealogía, ¿vale? Incluso muchos de los grupos, como el Centro Delàs, el propio ICIP, o otros de los grupos que actualmente existen, como Novac, etcétera, de alguna forma tienen un precedente en el Casal de la Pau. Incluso la campaña de la insumisión al servicio militar y otras campañas como la información de defensa para el soldado, las resistencias a las guerras de los Balcanes, etcétera, tienen su origen o no se pueden entender su fortaleza sin el Casal de la Pau de Barcelona. Repito, si tienen algún interés y quieren, aquí me tienen y seguimos hablando. Gracias.
Gracias, Carlos. And the next one is Ophelia. Gracias, Carlos. Thank you, Carlos. And the next one is Ophelia, if she can come to the stage to talk about one exhibition we have about the Odam region, the Odam territory.
Thank you. How banjogik anye ya chikmo amajadan ki amajad arajuk basoche man sis aptas ajia hamoch basoche man wa picture man hai chakani basoche man amajad matas imama jo kam skutok thumach kam matamata kia. My name is Ophelia Rivas, and I'm speaking in the language before 1491. And thank you. I'm a resistor and a survivor. I started documenting in photography and video the land of my homelands, which happens to be in the US and Mexico. And so the photograph you see on this wall over here is the photographs of the militarization of our homelands, which is walls and military installations of spyware, which is the integrated fixed towers that's also at the Gaza Strip that is monitoring our people 24/7 throughout the lands. We have 62 miles of international border, and first was the vehicle barrier that stopped our crossing back and forth into our communities that are on both sides of the border. And then now there's a metal wall, and we're forced to carry documents such as our federal issue tribal ID that has our number, but also forced by the United States government to obtain their IDs, which are US passports and so forth. So today I'm here on a secondary verified US passport, and sometimes it's difficult to get back into the United States. But these pictures will, if you can look, it has a little description of what the pictures are about. One is about the hashan, which is the saguaro cactus. They grow and they live to be over 200 years old. And sometimes I want to sit there and ask them some questions, and maybe they'll tell me some stories. I don't know. And There's also a picture of the integrated fixed tower, which is 180 feet tall and has a capacity of 46 miles to hear and see and live record your movement. And one is sitting above my community and watches everything that each of us does, and it seems to be criminalizing the people of the land and also limiting our mobility and limiting our rights of our culture and our way of life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ophelia. And by the way, she's going to be later today at 5 p.m. here in the plenary room for the last panel of the day about surveillance. So if you want to know more about her and about her work, come here at 5. Next one, before the last one, it's, in this case, from Mexico, from North America, we go to Bosnia, in this case. If you can come to the stage, Joan.
Hello, thank you for having me here. I came with a video project, Borderline Disorder. And I'm not an artist, but a researcher, and I try to just find different mediums to convey my research. The borderline disorder talks about the event that actually happened yesterday, 30 years ago. So on 21st of November of 1995, the peace agreement, the Dayton Peace Agreement was signed in Dayton, Ohio, in the United States, and it ended the war in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It technically ended the war, the fighting, like the shelling, the shooting. But if we look at Bosnia, today, 30 years later, we can see that it didn't solve the conflict. It just froze it. So we have a frozen state of the conflict in the country. I'm sorry. So my project. So the violence didn't end. It just took different forms, and now it is performed with soft power mechanisms such as divided politics of memories, competing school systems. It is sustained by the institutions. My project, the video project, it talks about it looks to this frozen peace from the very specific perspective, which is the boundary line, the inter-entity boundary line that was created in the Annex 2 of the peace agreement. And this is this red line that basically divides the country into two entities, Republika Srpska, inhabited mostly by Bosnian Serbs, and Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, inhabited mostly by Bosniaks, which are Muslims, and Croats. And this was a very controversial line from the beginning because it actually follows wartime front line. So it's saturated with trauma and with emotions. In my project, I focused on the fragment of this boundary line, which is in Sarajevo, and cuts the city to Istočno Sarajevo, Serbian part, and Sarajevo. And the line, during the siege that lasted for 4 years, on these points, there were sniper points, there were artillery, so the city was shooted for 4 years so these places are saturated with trauma. I chose specific sites, and I looked at them not as fixed points, but as a kind of dynamic assemblages of history, ideologies, memories, emotions. That's why I use archival materials, also interviews and my videos. And each of the places tells about different aspects of post-war reality, like the identity shift from Yugoslavian to more nationalistic, about the failed transition from socialism to capitalism, because the Bosnian land is now sold off mostly to foreign capital, and the city is taken from their citizens. So in my project, I would like to talk about the problems that actually most post-conflict places face, like unhealed trauma, unfinished peace process, economical and political problems. Thank you so much. My project is on the first floor in the hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. And now we're going for the last one before the workshops. It's a special one because it's a special project that we created for this conference. So Joel from Besarc, you can come to the stage. I'm going to stay with you because this is a project that we have created with Build Up and ICIP just for the conference. And it's a very special project that actually we need your help. So we're going to tell you how it goes, and then we will ask you for help later today. So Joel, if you can explain what's Besart and what are we doing?
Bon dia a tothom. Hello, my name is Joel. You might know me from the Paint Your Own Back workshop, and I'm a local artist here in representation of Besart, the River Museum. First, I'd like to say that I'm very proud of how the bags came out. You all loosened up and made some beautiful work. It's so beautiful, actually, that my superior this morning told me, oh, I saw the bags you painted yesterday, and they are looking great. And I was like, I didn't paint any of them. You all did. So also take the opportunity to remind you that there are still some already dry hanging there. So don't forget your art. And now I'll tell you a bit about our project, Besart, the River Museum. So we have the Besòs River, right, that limits Barcelona from the north and separates it, for instance, with the city of Santa Coloma de Gramenet. This river used to be one of the most polluted rivers in Europe from all the industrial residue that was disposed of there. But since a while ago, the Hall and the local authorities have revived the river as a beautiful natural space, and what our project does is try and decorate the walls of this space with art, so that the people that walk there or practice sports can also stimulate the site. We are bringing international and local artists from many different disciplines to each paint their own wall in however way they feel to express themselves. But we also make some collaborative projects. Every year we try to come up with something for the Peace Forum, and maybe so that you remind yourselves of the power of images and lateral thinking that comes with the liberty of art. And so I inform you that at 1:15 p.m., we will be offering a walk through this museum in process, and we will also give you the opportunity to help us paint this mural that another local artist, Lluvia, is making with one of our stencils that represents this event. So please join us in the afternoon and participate in what will be the largest museum in the world. Thank you very much.
As you can see, this mural is really big. It's 17 meters long, and the artist, Lluvia, really needs our help because she's kind of like running late, and she asks people to go to help and paint, actually. Yeah. So our proposal is at 1:15, if you can grab like some lunch at 1, or if you want to take something and just go with Joel and walk, we're going to walk. It's like 50 minutes walk to the...
Yeah, 50-minute walks, but it's beautiful.
15, 20 minutes, and then you will have the chance to get outside your inner graffiti person. So please join us and let's go to paint. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
And now, as you know, we have the workshops.
Thing, 1, 2. Okay, you have a few minutes to get to the workshops now, which start at noon and go for 1 hour until the lunch break. I do want to make a quick program announcement that there are 6 workshops listed on your program as choices, but there are 7 workshops. So there is one workshop I'm going to tell you about right now that is in room 4. This workshop is hosted by GNI, the Global Network Initiative, and it is generating bottom-up actionable insights from us that would feed into an upcoming AI Impact Summit that is happening in India in February. And the idea is that the workshop will explore key themes that the summit should address and the kind of outcomes that it can achieve. So if you want your voice in that Global AI Impact Summit, then you could go to room 4, along with all of the other options you have on your program. Thank you.